Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
And on Next Weather Rain Tracker, we're picking up on a couple of isolated showers with an east wind. Otherwise, the next few days are going to stay on the dry side for the most part here, but about 10% coverage as that moisture comes in off the Atlantic at times. It's not going to be a huge deal, but we'll get a little bit of rainfall in the forecast coming up for the next few days. As we check in on the conditions, by the time we get into the middle part of the week, this clicker's not working. I had that issue this morning, and it's back. So I'm going to switch over.
Always alerting, always tracking. This is Next Weather.
Hi, everybody. Next Weather Rain Tracker picking up on a couple of isolated showers. Coverage only about 10%, and we'll keep this east wind continuing. But notice over the next, I'd say 24 to 48 hours, more of a southeast wind. That's going to bring us a little bit more moisture. So rain chances about 10%, and then we'll eventually bump those up to 20 towards the end of the week. But boy, that south wind is going to really warm us up, and it's going to bring plenty of humidity. So the combination will start making it feel like, you know, we're well into spring. These are going to be temperatures that are more typical for May, not so much February. Certainly all 10 days above average so far, and we'll do that again for the next 6 days. You'll see that in the 7-day forecast we have a lot better news. As far as the rain chances, they're going to be at 10%, but the rain is just not going to be all that heavy, so accumulations are not going to be great, and that is still going to be a problem with drought conditions that we have here across South Florida. Haven't had a lot of rain so far this year, and we could use some. Nobody wants it on the weekend, and it won't happen either there. Southeast winds 5 to 10 as we continue with nice boat and conditions for the Atlantic waters and the Florida Keys. East to southeast winds will be about 10 to 15 knots. That'll give us light to moderate chop at times for nearshore waters with 1 to 2 foot sea conditions. Checking in on the forecast for tomorrow, we'll wake up already in the 70s. This kind of setup here now with that east southeast wind, it's going to be difficult to see some 60s, and I don't think we will for the most part. Maybe a few upper 60s across inland areas, and then we'll climb into the upper 70s. Now, the forecast is for low 80s tomorrow. It's just the high temperature this time of year happens between noon and 3, and in between we will see some 80s in the picture, just like we saw today and the day before that and through since February 1st. Valentine's Day fast approaching here, coming up for Friday, and no change. The pattern still ahead of our next cool front, which we can finally talk about here. But for Valentine's Day and for most of the weekend, unless you have a 3-day weekend, it's going to stay rather warm. Next, for the 7-day forecast through the end of the week, rain chances holding at 10%, and temperatures again in the low 80s. It'll feel warmer because of the higher humidity. Then it's going to turn breezy. Winds out of the south, southwest eventually, and that's what's really going to get temperatures up back in the mid 80s. That'll be the warmest of the next 7 days, and that 20% rain chance again, that's ahead of the front, so we'll bump things up a little bit there. And then finally for President's Day, a nice cool down back to the 70s.